Okay, so let's just restarting from where the connection was lost. So last month we had a brief study of the pearls of wisdom from Sri Paramahamsa Yogananda, and we could finish only a little, and then I thought it's an opportunity for us to go through the remaining part. Of course, the remaining part, whatever that I have, noted down as some of the uh, teachings. There is much more. We probably can't cover the entire book, but as a concluding part to that, what we started last month, we'll just cover some of the other teachings, some of the other pearls of wisdom, and then try to understand them in the light of our beloved teacher, Master Sri's teachings. So let's just get started from there. And so I don't know if any of you have this book with you. But anyway, let me read these lines first, and then I will try to share some insights around these. So this one, it says, "Look fear in the face, and it will cease to trouble you." So this, just to give you a background, so here, by the way, this sentence was mentioned, or this teaching comes from Sri Yukteswar, who is the guru of Sri Paramahamsa Yogananda. And Sri Yukteswar was sharing some of the memories from his childhood. So when he said that one time his mother tried to scare him by telling the story of a ghost in a chamber, and just you go, and if you don't listen to me, the ghost will come, and something like that. So Sri Yukteswar, being a child at that time, the moment he listened like that, he went into that chamber, that dark chamber which apparently had a ghost in it, and obviously there was nothing. Then when he returned back, he told his mother, "Oh, I am disappointed at having missed the ghost." So, and then the mother never ever told him any other horror story. Now, what does this really mean? Sometimes we are faced by different fears. What Master says is, in fact, fear is an absolute necessity. It keeps us alive. But we have to differentiate between fear based on reality and fear based on imagination. I think it's very simple. Sometimes, based on our certain past experience, we develop certain belief system or certain thought process which remains with us over a period of time, and we see everything through that. So, and sometimes we create our own fears, the fear of unknown, especially when you start thinking about the future, what will happen, where will I be, what will I become, what if I face this situation, that situation, and we get stuck in that moment. So just to give you another story, story related to it. This is a story from Mahabharata, wherein one time Lord Krishna and Balrama, they decided to go in the jungle, roam around, just go like that. And when they went in the morning, by the time they were still exploring the forest, it became evening and night. Of course, in those days there were no resorts, so they decided to stay in the forest because they couldn't come back. Now, Lord Krishna came with an idea that, let's take turns in sleeping. So let me sleep first, and take guard, and just guard. And if and when you feel sleepy, you just wake me up, and I'll take the opportunity to guard, and you can sleep. Fair enough. Having told that, he went to sleep, and while Balrama was just moving around and all, he saw a monster, and the monster started screaming at Balrama. So Balrama shook out of this roar, and when he trembled, he became slightly smaller, and the monster became a little bigger. So the monster roared again, Next time, Balrama further became smaller and the monster became even bigger. The monster roared one more time and Balrama fainted because he was so shaken and afraid. And then as he was fainting, he just cried out, Krishna! And he fainted. Now, hearing his name, Lord Krishna woke up and he saw Balrama lying down. He assumed that Balrama may have felt tired and slept, even though he was fainted, but he didn't know this. So then Lord Krishna started taking the round. Now, this monster was just around, he came up and he roared again. So Lord Krishna said, what do you want? The moment he said that, the monster became a little smaller and Lord Krishna became a little bigger. So this guy monster, he again shouts, roars, and then Lord Krishna says, what do you want? So this guy becomes even smaller and Krishna becomes bigger. Third time, again, this guy, who is now a little smaller, he says, roars again, and Lord Krishna says, what do you want? So this time the monster became so tiny, then the Lord Krishna takes this monster, ties him in his dhoti, and spends the remaining night. When Balrama wakes up the next morning, he says, Krishna, what happened? I saw a monster. Then Lord Krishna said, what are you talking about, this fellow? So the story tells us that when we face what we must, the challenges, the problems, the issues that come in front of us, they become smaller, you become stronger. But the moment you have this fear in your mind, apparently the same problem appears to be so big that we become paralyzed. So I think that's the teaching. Sometimes we just become so concerned with the problem that we can't think ahead. But when you face what you must, problem vanishes. That's my interpretation of this beautiful story from Sri Yukteswar's childhood. Then another story he shared. This is about an ugly dog that belonged to a neighbor or somewhere in the neighborhood. And Sri Yukteswar, as a small child, he keeps the entire household in turmoil for weeks to get that dog only, even though there were many other, beautiful looking dogs or any other pets that he would have got, but only that. And he would keep on crying and crying, and his ears would be deaf to any of the reasoning that the parents would give. So the moral that he shares here is, this is very interesting. He says, attachment is blinding. It lends an imaginary halo, H-A-L-O, halo, of attractiveness to the object of desire. Let me read this again. Attachment is blinding. It lends an imaginary halo of attractiveness to the object of desire. So, blinding in what sense? What does this really mean? Blinding essentially does not mean you become blind with your eyes. Blinding essentially means the mental blindness, the mental darkness. That's why in some traditions, when you are not able to think clearly, as if you are in darkness, right? That's why when you're blessing someone in your twin heart meditation, you say, wherever there is darkness, let there be light. It doesn't mean the physical darkness. What master or various teachers refer to is the mental darkness, because of which we are not able to see what happens around us, see or perceive or understand what happens around us. So that is why there is this concept of kama manas. Kama means desire, manas. So take note of the sequence. This is a very interesting esoteric concept as such. It simply means that when your kama, your desire is so strong about something, then you manipulate your mind to get what you want. But we need to understand the word desire or kama in a proper sense. Kama in itself is not wrong per se, meaning any desire in itself is not wrong. But when this desire becomes unwholesome, the so-called unwholesome attachment, that is what causes us the suffering. So it is okay to have a desire. For example, there could be altruistic desires also, positive desires also, isn't it? For example, some of your healers, uh, when you are healing your patients, you have that desire that your patients get well, right? So that is a good desire. Yeah. If you have a desire, I wish I had more money so that I could share with many, many more people, feed many, many hungry people. That is also a good desire. But there are certain desires which make you bound in them, and then you start manipulating your mind. You do anything that you can to get that sense of gratification. But guess what? At some time, you will get tired of that. In the beginning, when you are so attached to something, it gives you pleasure, but eventually it will lead to pain. Just to give you a very, very simple example, I don't know, let's say you have a favorite food, okay, whatever that is, and you keep eating it every day, every meal, and you stuff yourself with it. In the beginning, it will be a pleasure, right? But once you finish, you would say, then your mind will say, oh, why did I eat so much? Oh, this is hurting me, right? So sometimes the unwholesome desires can lead to pain. So we just need to learn how to come out of it. So just related to this particular quote, there is another quote that I would like to read from this book. It says, let me go to that, page number 126 in the book. One second, let me see where that is. Okay, so it says, destroy wrong desires now. Otherwise, they will remain with you after the astral body has been separated from its physical body or physical casing. Even when the flesh is weak, the mind should be constantly resistant. If temptation assails you with cruel force, overcome it by impersonal analysis and indomitable will. Every natural passion can be mastered. So I think just related to that, what it simply means is this is a little bit more esoteric than the other one. Essentially, what Sri Yukteswarji is trying to explain here is when we have certain unwholesome desires which keep us attached. Now, at the time of so-called physical death, when the soul leaves the body, when the soul transfers into the another loka, the loka in English is called a plane, like an astral plane or an emotional plane. When the soul goes there, it is so attached that it cannot go up and merge with the divine light, with divine love. And that is what causes the suffering to the soul, because it is so attached, it is so bound by the attachments that it wants to experience things, but it cannot because it has no physical body. It needs a body, the five senses, to experience certain things. But because it doesn't have that anymore, and there is tremendous craving, so the soul suffers. And that is why he is suggesting, and some of you, those who are prana killers, you have been taught the technique of inner reflection, firm resolution, right? You think every day, what are the good things that you did, the not so good things you did, you reflect, you erase, you replace that with the right thought, with the right word, with the right actions. So you develop your mind so that when a situation comes which triggers your emotions, you are able to use your mind to take control. That is the meaning, that you keep on doing it every day, every day, every day. When you do that, and whether we like it or not, all of us, one day this physical body will die. it will just go. But when we practice it every day, it will be easier for us to go higher, because that is the ultimate goal. The soul has to go home. But if there are attachments, it is difficult. Let go of it. Learn to let go. When you let go, it is easy to go up. So I think that's the teaching around this particular one. Okay. Then let me read another one. And this is very, very important teaching, I think, because I think most of you are parents and you may have small children. So I think this is a very significant teaching here. Now, this is about, again, Sri Yukteswarji is sharing his childhood stories. So he's saying, I think his mother told him, what is that? Yeah, a man who accepts a job under anyone is a slave. So his mother used to tell him this, and it became such a strong imprint in his mind that he refused to accept any job, even after marriage. Even though he had to feed his wife, his family, and stuff, he refused to take any job, and he only managed to, because maybe he came from a rich family, he could manage to survive by selling pieces of land, okay, something like that. And that is when perhaps his, probably at some point in time, the understanding came. He says, good and positive suggestions should instruct the sensitive ears of children. Their early ideas long remain sharply etched in their subconscious. This is very, very significant. I think yesterday we were talking to some of the pranic healers in one of the sessions, and we were talking about how important it is that when the child is in the womb, as well as for the first 7 years of a child, it is so important that the right environment, the right thoughts, the right emotions are fed into the children, because that forms the foundation of how their life is going to be, especially with their characters, with their belief systems. The children are like sponge. They would absorb anything and everything. And at a young, tender age, a child is not in a position to discern what is right, what is wrong. Whatever you tend to say, the child's mind will just believe. Even if you don't say anything, your behavior, they make their impressions. Take note of that. Doesn't matter, you have not spoken to them, but what happens around them, they absorb a lot of information. And we have many such examples when patients come to us for healing, especially for kids, and you ask a few questions to the parents, you just inquire a little bit. Inevitably, it comes to the surface that there has been some problem in the environment of the child. I think this morning itself, mother called me and saying that the child is, I think now, teenager, and he does not want to listen to anyone in the family. It's a joint family. The child doesn't listen, he is becoming a rebel. He is not willing to listen to anyone. You know why? Since childhood, he has been pressurized so much to do this, to do that. Everybody is instructing him. But now this guy is, forget about it. I'm not going to listen. I'm going to run away. The moment I am on my feet, I don't want to be here in this house. So this is very important lesson for us as parents, as the teachers, the mentors, that we feed the right ideas in the children's mind, because they are the future also, and of course about their own life. So this is very, very significant lesson. Okay, now moving on to page number 109 in my book, in this copy. Okay, so this story is a very interesting story. Apparently, Sri Paramahamsa Ji, when he was young disciple of Sri Yukteswar in his ashram, when he went one time, mosquitoes were troubling him, and he wanted to terminate some of the mosquitoes, and he did not do that. So then, when Paramahamsa Ji stopped, terminating the mosquito, Shri Yukteswar Ji asks him, why did not you finish the job? Why did not you terminate the mosquito? So then Paramahamsa Ji asks his guru, Why? Master, why are you advocating, or do you advocate taking life? Very interestingly, Shri Yukteswarji says, no, but in your mind, you had already struck the death blow. Then Paramahansa got confused. I said, I don't understand. Then that's what he said now. He says, by ahimsa or non-violence, Patanjali meant removal of the desire to kill. Man may be compelled to exterminate harmful creatures, full stop. He is not under a similar compulsion to feel anger or animosity. So I think this is very important to understand. Even I think somebody asked Master, can we, I don't know, terminate rats, cockroaches, mosquitoes? Master says, yes, you can. First, because of the physical hygiene reasons. But two, even when you terminate another being, it can still be done in an ahimsa manner. What is that ahimsa manner? And I think very beautifully explained by Sri Yukteswarji here. It says, actually, let me take a step back and explain you in two different ways. The motive plays a very, very significant role. The motive. And it's a very interesting story, which I like it very much because it very clearly explains the motive of an act. So there was this, Shaolin warriors, and they were standing guard in front of a palace. And in that palace, there was a theft. So this thief ran away with a lot of, khajana, as they call it, the treasure. Now this guy ran, and these two warriors, these two Shaolin warriors, they ran after the thief to catch hold of him. After a lot of struggle, after 2-3 hours of running behind him, and after a lot of struggle, they managed to catch hold of him. And one of the Shaolin warriors, this guy is on the ground now, the thief, and he puts his feet on his chest and is about to wield his sword. The sword is about to come down. At that very moment, the thief spits on his face. The Shaolin warrior stops and he lets him go. The other, that Shaolin warrior, he says, "Wow, what are you doing? Why are you letting him go?" Then this guy answers, when I was about to slit his throat in the beginning, it was because it was my duty. But when he spit on me, I became angry. And if I had killed him at that time, I would have done it in anger for revenge because I was angry. So this is very, very important for us to understand. The motive of what we do has to be not that you want to see someone suffering. That's what probably Master meant, that one of the interpretation is that when you, even if you have to kill an animal or terminate an animal for food, it can be done in ahimsa manner. Say, for example, somebody has to feed his family and there is no other option. That is the motive. But if you just terminate because of the joy, then of course it is not the right motive. And what Sri Yukteswarji is telling is another step ahead, that the desire itself is not there. Meaning, you are not terminating because, again, for the joy, for the excitement of it. No. It is because perhaps you want to safeguard yourself. So there is a difference between safeguarding your own interest and killing because you want to just kill out of anger. So this is very, very significant lesson for all these spiritual, at least if you have any such bent of mind. This is very, very important. This is a very, very important virtue. Loving kindness and non-injury. Non-injury should not be taken to extreme, wherein you say, oh, you know what, let anybody and everybody hurt me. It's not like that. You have to sometimes balance mercy with severity and order. You have to do that at different times, but your motive is important. So that is the teaching behind this one. Okay. Now moving on, the next one is a very beautiful line, very, very beautiful line, and I really Every time I read this, I just get thrilled when I just read this line, even without the understanding first. But okay, yeah, this is sounds very poetic also. So this beautiful line says, I'm on page 125. Those in case you have the book with you, it says, "The land of healing lies within, radiant with the happiness that is blindly sought in 1,000 outer directions." The land of healing lies within. Have you ever noticed sometimes when you're stuck with a problem, you go here and there and any direction you want to go to, but a lot of times you find answer near you. It is there in front of you, but maybe you did not see it earlier. The land of healing lies within. It is only when you go inside your heart you find all the answers that you're looking for. Whether it is for your health, whether it is, I don't know, relationships, prosperity and abundance, anything. And even in Twin Heart meditation, what is the first chakra that we activate? The heart chakra. It is through the heart chakra, crown chakra is activated, and you're able to experience that oneness, that belongingness, the healing. The healing in what sense? Have you noticed sometime when you meditate, in your meditation or after the meditation, you feel at peace, at home. You have that calmness, that serenity in your mind. But what we usually end up doing is looking everything outside. But the first place we should start with is inside of us. It is right there. It is not here or there. It is here. So I think that's a very beautiful, beautiful line. The land of healing lies within. This is the important part. It's very, very beautiful. At least personally to me, it really evoked a lot of emotions. So that's that. We'll just take a couple more. We are almost there. There are quite a few of them again. This is related to what we were just talking about, within and without. So this story is about, Sri Yukteswar kept on, sorry, not Sri Yukteswar, Sri Paramahamsa ji kept on looking for guru in different directions. He wanted to go to Himalayas to find the spiritual teacher who can, give him the spiritual enlightenment. So he meets a sleepless saint. That's what the title of the chapter is, the sleepless saint, and the whole story goes like that. And then this saint finally tells him that this is, by the way, page number 136, just in case you have the book with you. So he says, what one does not trouble to find within will not be discovered by transporting the body here and there. As soon as the devotee is willing to go even to the ends of the earth for spiritual enlightenment, his guru appears nearby. There's another story related to it. It says, well, so one time there was this spiritual aspirant looking for guru. All the places he went to, the different parts of the earth, looking for a teacher, couldn't find anyone. So finally, one day he saw a sadhu or a saint or a sage sitting beside a lake meditating. So he thought, oh, you know what, this looks like the guru who can give me the enlightenment. So he goes, sits beside him, and waits for this sage to open his eyes. And hours and hours and hours went by, the sage doesn't open. But finally he opens his eyes and he looks at the boy and says, what do you want? What can I do for you? So the boy says, sir, I'm looking for a spiritual enlightenment and I want to achieve it real fast. So the sage says, very well. He grabs his head and puts his head in the water and leaves it there almost to the point when the boy is grasping for, almost gone. And then he finally pulls him out and he asks him, what is the thing that you desired most when your head was inside? He said, the air. He asks him, was there absolutely anything else you were thinking about? No, I only wanted air. That's when the sage tells him, if you can desire spiritual enlightenment the way you desire air, you will have it fast. So just look within. It's all there inside of us. Just have to look within. Okay. Now we'll do one more quote, and I think we will then go to the meditation after this. So this one last one, I'll just read from page 144. Let me go to that page. Okay. The breath and the restless mind I saw. So here, Sri Paramahamsa is sharing his experience when his consciousness expanded and he started seeing many, many things. So he's sharing one of them. The breath and the restless mind I saw are like storms that lash the ocean of light into waves of material forms. No perception of the infinite as one light can be had except by calming those storms. Without the stillness, no matter what we do, we cannot perceive. In Greek, what is God called? It's called chaos. You know what chaos? In a normal English, chaos would mean, the way we understand it now. There's something which is, not resting, but yet it is called chaos in old ancient Greek. Okay, that's very interesting. To understand this, we have to go a little deeper. It is all pervading energy and it is not still. And yet, it's like, you have tremendous powerful energy vibrating at a very, very high frequency, and yet it is still. It is vibrating, yet it is still. So this constantly vibrating energy, maybe that's why it is called, because it is not really still, but when you try to perceive it, it is all still. Just like that. To understand this, just a very simple example. Have you noticed when you see through a turbulent water, can you see through it? Can you see through the bottom of the lake? You can't. But when the water is still, you're able to go, you can see inside and see what lies beneath. In the same way, without stilling your mind, you cannot perceive the Supreme Being. Let's do a small practice, a small experiment, and that will also give you a technique to practice stillness. And from there, we will do the meditation on twin hearts. Okay? So, by the way, again, this is a thick book. We cannot cover everything for you, but I hope some of what we discussed will inspire you to, grab this book if you have not yet done so. And just go through the book and enjoy the wisdom contained here. So all of you, just sit comfortably, close your eyes, normalize your breathing. With your right forefinger, just touch the tip of your nose. Just once is good enough. Now keep your awareness on the tip of your nose and be aware of the breath going out and coming in. Just observe the passage of the breath. As you would notice, the breath is constantly moving, but at the same time, it is becoming shallower and shallower, as if it is almost not there. Once your breathing has become almost as if it is not there, be aware of the gap between the two breaths, between your inhalation and exhalation. There is a gap. Be aware of this gap. Be still. Be aware of the stillness between the two breaths. Be in the stillness. Be in the gap. Silently repeat after me. I am that I am. I am not the body. I am not the emotions. I am not the thoughts. I am not the mind. The mind is just an instrument of the soul. I am the soul. I am a spiritual being of divine intelligence, divine love, divine power. I am one with my higher soul. I am one with the divine spark within me. I am a child of God. I am connected with God. I am one with God. I am one with all. This is the truth, regardless of the capacity of the brain to experience the truth. I am that I am. Be still, be aware of the peace and the stillness within you. Gently come back to your body. Maintain your inner peace and stillness. We will now proceed with the meditation on twin hearts.